the Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
When you hear those simple words, you've either walked onto your own episode of Intervention,
Oh my.
or you've entered one of America's most beloved Italian restaurant chains. Olive Garden found its way into people's hearts and stomachs thanks to its signature decor and unlimited piles of soup, salad, and breadsticks. But how did the home of the never-ending pasta bowl get its start? Today, we're carb-loading the history of Olive Garden. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. And let us know in the comments below what other iconic restaurant chains you would like to hear about. Okay? Time to load up on some carbs. Way back in the 1960s and 70s, General Mills was looking to break away from their wheaty-filled past and to make their way into all sorts of other industries. They bought up both Rainbow Crafts, the makers of Play-Doh, along with Kenner Products, the toy company that would go on to make all of the original Star Wars and Jurassic Park toys.
Fire the net!
Those were some pretty good moves. Having already explored aeronautics throughout the 1950s, there seemed to be only one place left for General Mills to turn: the restaurant industry. It started with Red Lobster, a restaurant that first opened its doors in 1968, grew to 5 locations in the 2 years that followed, and was bought up by General Mills in 1970, the year of the lobster. General Mills found quick success with Red Lobster, and by the 1980s, they'd managed to grow it into a nationwide shrimp-slinging enterprise. They naturally hoped to replicate Red Lobster's nationwide success, and so they devised an all-new restaurant to tap into the Italian food market: Olive Garden, or the Olive Garden, if you're fancy. So from its inception, Olive Garden was designed to be anywhere and everywhere. Not a mom-and-pop eatery, but a sprawling franchise meant to spread its pasta and breadsticks all across the nation. Between 1982, the year the world's first ever Olive Garden opened its doors in Orlando, Florida, and the end of the 1980s, General Mills had established 145 locations across America. Olive Garden's success grew to rival that of its crustacean-loving sister company. At the time, Olive Garden was officially called the Olive Garden, a name the chain would stick with for a whole 13 years. Likewise, its slogan was, "Good times, great salad. Olive Garden." Not as much fun as Red Lobster's seafood differently. But hey, it got the point across. Because back then, Olive Garden hadn't yet wowed the world with its unlimited breadsticks or never-ending pasta. Instead, they relied entirely on their bottomless salads to lure customers in. When the company first launched in 1982, its logo featured a simple yet elegant cursive rendition of the restaurant's name. It also adopted a Tuscan style for its architecture, a common practice among upscale Italian eateries of the time, all of whom were trying to distinguish themselves from the red and white tablecloths of a typical Italian joint.
Good flavor, it's not bland.
It's a really neat environment, and their food and spaghetti is excellent.
These restaurants branded themselves as places where authentic Italian food could be had, free of heavy pizzas and pastas, and instead filled with seafood, vegetables, and grains. The Olive Garden did not go so far as to adopt a more authentic menu. In fact, they serve some of the heaviest pastas human eyes have ever seen. But in 1989, they decided to pull away from the salad thing and stamped Italian restaurant in the logo. Maybe too many people thought the Olive Garden was a wedding venue or something. Technically, it still could be, for some lucky girl. In 1995, General Mills spun off its entire restaurant division in order to create a standalone, publicly traded company. They called it Darden Restaurants, in honor of Bill Darden, the original founder of Red Lobster, who had passed away just 1 year prior. Hopefully, he got to eat one last cheddar biscuit before he checked out. But as restaurant revenue fell in the latter half of the 90s, Darden had to get its act together quickly if the company wanted to show it could make it on its own. So in 1998, Olive Garden got a makeover. In a move that would later inspire Mark Zuckerberg, the restaurant dropped the "V" from its name, becoming known simply as Olive Garden. The company changed its logo to include a bunch of grapes, and it changed its slogan to
When you're here, you're family.
a gentle hug of a catchphrase that you likely have memorized if you watched TV in the 90s. All the while, they updated their restaurants to look more rustic. even going so far as to model their tables after ones found in Florentine farmhouses. Along with these changes, Olive Garden introduced unlimited soups and, more importantly, unlimited breadsticks. The world would never be the same. These breadsticks alone may have saved Darden from the brink, as customers began to flock to Olive Garden en masse just to stuff themselves with Grassini-inspired appetizers. In 1999, the company tried to boost its image by opening up its Culinary Institute of Italy, a facility that sent chefs and managers to Tuscany in order to train them in the art of true hospitaliano. While some online have claimed the Culinary Institute didn't actually teach employees a thing about Italian cooking, and that it instead served more as a photo op for Olive Garden's corporate side, the company still sent over 100 lucky employees there every year while in operation. While there, these employees apparently spent most of their time soaking up the Tuscan sun with an all-expense-paid vacation. Sure, there were a few short classes sprinkled into the mix, including a class on how olive oil gets pressed and one on the proper way to layer bolognese sauce. But it allegedly wasn't the intensive boot camp Olive Garden made it out to be. This eventually led to public backlash, as many people who had bought up the authentic Tuscan marketing felt misled. Just bring out another round of breadsticks and everyone will forget about it. In the new millennium, Olive Garden continued to find success, even as other competitors rose up to try and take its pasta crown. Both Bravo Italian Kitchen and Buca di Beppo, two companies that formed in the early 90s, grew into viable competitors during this time, and they began to make inroads into Olive Garden's Italian-American market share as the aughts wore on. It seemed not even a glowing viral review from Marilyn Haggerty with the Grand Forks Herald could turn things around.
I also said there's a bar to the right so people know that they could go in and have a drink.
Do you like to go to the bar while you wait?
Oh, I wouldn't mind at all.
By 2012, Darden investors were growing worried about their bottom line, and they wanted to make changes. It was at this time that Olive Garden's slogan changed to, "We're all family here." And then President Dave George went on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon to sign the rights of "When you're here, you're family" over to the TV talk show host, despite Fallon claiming to have never been to an actual Olive Garden location.
Let me be the first to say this. When you're here, you're family.
That gift was wasted on him. Olive Garden then ran their first ever never-ending pasta promotion. Starting at just $9.99, customers could eat all the pasta they wanted, which totaled for the restaurant chain a whopping 13 million bowls of pasta over the course of the promotion. The following year, Olive Garden then introduced the Never-Ending Pasta Pass, which, for just $99, allowed 1,000 lucky customers 7 whole weeks of all-you-can-eat pasta. They managed to keep both of these promotions profitable by loading customers up on breadsticks and salad first, before bringing out the first bowl of pasta. All subsequent bowls of pasta were then smaller in size, encouraging customers to slow their roll. The promotion was so successful that they continued to bring it back year after year. In 2017, for instance, the company listed 22,000 passes online at $100 apiece, all of which sold out in less than 1 second. In 2019, they also offered 50 $500 lifetime pasta passes that promised 1 bowl a day for the next 60 years, at less than 3 cents a pop.
Here's to the beginning of endless.
But back in 2014, even with the launch of Never-Ending Pasta, things were still a bit rocky for Darden. After a few attempts at combining Red Lobster and Olive Garden locations into a single food hulk, like those Taco Bell Pizza Huts you sometimes see in the wild, the company decided to sell off Red Lobster entirely. They then focused their attention on Olive Garden. And a leaked 300-slide presentation revealed a litany of issues investors had with the way Olive Garden conducts its business. Many of the issues raised included critiques of Olive Garden's day-to-day business practices, including allegations that they overcook their pasta, criticisms over the lack of added salt in the company's pasta water, and outright attacks on the number of free breadsticks given out each and every year. They wouldn't dare. Many investors wanted to do away with the unlimited breadsticks altogether, but the pro-breadstick caucus held the line, and unlimited breadsticks managed to survive. Sort of. Today, Olive Garden has over 900 locations that span every single U.S. state, much of both North and South America, and parts of both East Asia and the Middle East. While the exact number of breadsticks served fluctuates year to year, the entire chain collectively serves well over 500 million breadsticks annually. Still, after the 2014 uproar among Olive Garden investors, servers are now apparently instructed to serve only one breadstick per person per table, plus one extra breadstick in a show of goodwill, like two nations negotiating peace. Though the breadsticks are still considered unlimited after this initial round, guests have to specifically request a refill if they want more bread brought to the table. Even with all that free bread, Olive Garden still has no issues making dough. Today, Olive Garden generates almost half of Darden Restaurant's $9.5 billion in yearly revenue. That means the Garden outsells Cheddar's, Yard House, and Longhorn Steakhouse combined. While many other chains around America have seen slowdowns in recent years, there seems to be one reason for Olive Garden's staying power. Millennials, known for having ditched chain restaurants in exchange for more unique local experiences, seem to have carved out a corporate-sized exception for Olive Garden. Millennials apparently love the place so much that about 30% of all Olive Garden patrons likewise come from Generation Y, overrepresenting their share of the U.S. population by a whole 6%. What's more, according to a 2023 study conducted by Yelp, Olive Garden is the most popular brand in America's most populated state, California. Wonder where Sparrow ranked. While the restaurant chain ended up ranking 15th nationwide, the Golden State just can't seem to get enough of its pasta-filled goodness. For those on the other coast, the best way to empty your wallet fast is with Olive Garden's Times Square New Year's Bash, a $400 celebration that features a buffet, 3 separate bars, a DJ, and an allegedly mediocre view of the annual ball drop. I mean, it is a giant ball. Is there a good view? Now, you may be asking yourself, whatever happened to "when you're here, you're family"? After holding on to the slogan for half a decade, Jimmy Fallon finally sat down in an Olive Garden for the first time ever with known Olive Garden connoisseur Post Malone. During this dinner, Fallon surprised Post Malone by gifting him the rights to the slogan, a move we can only hope will lead to every future Post Malone video inexplicably taking place in an Olive Garden.
It's done. That's it. How great is that?
So what do you think? What is your Olive Garden menu item? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other weird history food videos.